G'day all, I'm Graham Sanders and I live at Townsville, North Queensland. That's where latitude 19 crosses the east coast of Australia. I'm doing a management series on the local species Tetragonula Hawkinsii. I'll try that again. Tetragonula Hawkinsii, and now another species, Tetragonula sapiens. Well, it's the 1st of March 2017, about 9 o'clock in the morning. This is one of my hives. If you recognise this hive this time last year was my strongest hive by miles. But this year, in fact, before I say that, this hive was so strong, if you remember the induction series, I did an induction or a budding or a propagation where you connect the two hives together with this hive. You'll notice that this year it's not as strong. It's still got good activity, but nowhere near the activity of, say, this hive. Yes, this hive is my contender for hive of the year. So, should one worry by the fact that one hive is strong one year and then suddenly not as strong the next year? And the answer to that is no. Because the hive you saw before is getting on 2-3 years old. And that queen in there is getting 2 to 3 years old. She's basically getting old. And so as she gets older, her performance drops, the number of eggs she lays drops. And eventually she will be replaced by a younger queen. Now, in professional beekeeping with honeybees, what they do to maintain production is every year they requeen the hive with a young, virile, go-getter queen, and don't let the queens mature. But in our natives, we tend to just let them go and let them cycle through. If I was really keen, I could go back into that hive, try to find the queen, which is damn hard, and squash her to encourage a new queen. But I don't bother to do that. I just let them cycle through. So you'll see in certain years one hive is stronger than the other, and then other years it's the other way around, or hives just change. That's just the queen maturing with age. One of the things I forgot to tell you in the last video is do take the time to have a smell around the vent hole. This hive is full blown, and if I have a good whiff now, and I wish they had smell-o-vision, but we don't, you smell a sickly sweet smell. You just know the bees are gathering heaps of honey and the vent hole is open and air is circulating through. That sickly sweet smell is one of the joys this time of year. In terms of the season, we haven't had a good wet season. In fact, we've missed the wet, but there's still enough activity with trees flowering, pollen coming in to get honey production and get the bees really reproducing madly. Again, March should be a time where you sit back, and if you want to enjoy something, enjoy the smells. Your hive should be now smelling really sickly sweet at those vent holes. Take the time to have a sniff. You'll be surprised. Those of you who've been following the sapiens story, and also my new hive, or not my new hive, my hive video on what I think is a good hive for the tropics, you'll notice that this hive here is now occupied. Okay, they're just settling in because I only did a transfer 2 or 3 days ago, because what's missing? The foam hive is missing. This time of year it's still good if your hives are strong enough to go for a propagation, a brood split, or a brood lift, as I call it, and make a new hive, because all the trees are producing pollen, and now's the time that they stock up. So you've got a chance of starting a new hive off. This hive, as you can see here, that's my hive that the Hawkinsii have been transferred in. Only 2 or 3 days ago they were transferred into that hive and are now going like gangbusters. up here, there's a little trick you have to use whenever you propagate your hives, and I highly recommend it. For the first few days, sit your hive in a water bath. Why? Well, the ants up here are terribly aggressive, little brown things that you wouldn't even bloody look at. You'd probably just bypass. But these bloody things will dive into these hives until they get sealed up. This hive will be sealed up by the weekend, and I'll just simply take that off and place it down here, and that's its new home. But what happened to the foam hive? Well, the saga all starts here, because there's the foam hive at the moment, because those who've been following the Tetragonula sapiens video will see that this is the locale of my new sapiens hive. And this morning I did a brood lift into the empty foam hive, which is here. Now, part of the methodology of improving the uptake of a brood lift is you've got to encourage and get the numbers of worker bees up in the hive. So what you do there is you put some beeswax, pollen there. Try to put this hive close to the entrance. I don't know if you can see standing back, but there's enough bees buzzing around here at the moment. And because this is all foreign, they're slowly getting used to it. So I did a brood lift this morning with the sapiens. Very aggressive bee, mind you. So I took some brood out of here, put into here. It's got pollen stores in here from the Hocking's Eye hive, and these bees are finding it a bit uncomfortable at the moment because they're smelling Hocking's Eye in this hive. But you will notice, if we stand here long enough, bees are starting to, whoops, wrong way, bees are starting to go into that entrance. So they're starting to get used to that hive. I will leave this here for about half an hour, let it stock up on quite a few foraging bees, and then I'll seal it with a little bit of, whoops, get out of the way, I've got bees flying around me. I'll seal it like this, whoops, as I bend down, with a bit of mesh, see there, a bit of termi mesh, allow them to breathe, and I'll place that in its new home over here, right next to the existing hive. And we do that for one simple reason: the shady environment that Hocking's Eyes love. Look at it, beautiful. According to all literature, they'll be 1 metre apart, different heights. It shouldn't make any difference to the bees. But what will happen here is I will leave this for about another quarter of an hour, get a few bees in, seal it up, leave it for a couple of hours, catch a few more, seal it up, and over 2 days get a good healthy workforce in. You leave it sealed up then for 3 days and then release, and when you release, all the bees will be used to this hive, its smell and everything else. So there you go. March has been a busy time. Received my sapiens, all good. More on this concrete hive as you follow the sapiens video, but it's just busy, busy, busy for the buzzy little bees.